You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. Sawyer County authorities are still working to identify a suspect in a string of suspected arsons in November. According to law enforcement authorities, nobody was injured in the 6 structure fires, but some homes, businesses, and a veterans center suffered significant damage. The Sawyer County Sheriff's Office is working with the Wisconsin Department of Justice to analyze further evidence from the fires. Sheriff's Office officials are also reminding residents to contact them if they have any information about the suspected arson incidents. The city of Ashland declared a snow emergency for Wednesday after a late winter storm rolled through the area. The snow emergency declaration began at 6 a.m. on Wednesday and will be in effect until 6 a.m. on Thursday. During that time, no vehicles will be allowed to park on the streets, so plows can clear the roads easily. Vehicles that are parked on the streets could receive a ticket or even be towed. City officials are also reminding residents that the declaration means they must clear the snow from their sidewalks outside their homes within 48 hours. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul is calling for increased funding for staffing at the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratories. On Tuesday, Attorney General Kaul and a group of state legislators called for $2.7 million of the state budget to hire for an additional 19 positions in the labs. There are just 3 crime labs across the state to cover the forensic evidence needs of law enforcement authorities in 72 counties. Officials say they've seen long backlogs in processing evidence, causing lengthy delays in court proceedings for serious cases. A healthcare clinic in Rice Lake has announced plans to consolidate and expand their services. In a press release, North Lakes Community Clinic announced it will be relocating its Birchwood Clinic operations to a new integrated facility in Rice Lake. Officials say the consolidation will allow them to offer more services at one location, making it more convenient for residents to receive whatever care they need. The newly consolidated facility will feature behavioral health services, speech and physical therapy, and dental care. State Democrats have introduced a bill that would require the Wisconsin State Legislature to convene a special session if federal funding is frozen. The legislation was introduced by Eau Claire's Christian Phelps and named the Frozen Federal Funds Emergency Act. In a press release, Phelps called the funding freezes unlawful, reckless, and cruel, and said the state needs to be ready to provide whatever support it can for communities that lose needed funding. Republicans hold majorities in both the state assembly and state senate. Opioid deaths are on the decline in Wisconsin as settlement funding from national litigation streams in. The funding has been used for harm reduction efforts, public awareness campaigns, and school-based prevention programs across the state. Thanks to those efforts, officials say opioid deaths in the state last June fell to their lowest levels since April of 2020. Wisconsin will have received about $780 million from the various settlements by 2028. 30% goes to state programs, with the rest going to local programs. The Washburn County Board of Supervisors is now accepting applications for 2025 alcohol and other drug abuse and use prevention mini-grants. The grant program provides community groups with funding for efforts to develop healthy communities. The county has offered the funding since 1987, and this year there is $10,000 available through the Washburn County Community Alliance for Prevention. Applications for the grant funding can be submitted online, and individual organizations can receive up to $1,000. A Duluth nonprofit is raising money to combat rising food insecurity in the region. Chum has launched their Minnesota March Food Share campaign and is hoping to raise $80,000 and accept 40,000 pounds of food donations. Last year, they raised $125,000 and received nearly 55,000 pounds of food. Officials say every dollar and every pound of food will go towards addressing food insecurity in the region. The campaign will run through April 6th, and donation specifics can be found online. State Democrats have introduced legislation to ban the use of algorithms and artificial intelligence to raise rent prices in Wisconsin. The bill was introduced by State Senator Kelda Royce and State Representative Breanne Brown in an effort to slow rapidly rising housing costs in the state. A Department of Justice lawsuit claims landlords have used those programs to unfairly increase rent prices and say it violates antitrust laws. Wisconsin did not join that multi-state lawsuit, but has seen one of the sharpest housing cost increases in the country. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is warning residents who use Easy Pass about a text scam claiming they have unpaid tolls. Officials say the texts have been popping up in several states and see the scammers using the threat of late fees for unpaid tolls to gather personal information about their potential victims. The fake fees only ask for a few dollars, but if residents do enter their financial information under the link, they could lose much more. Easy Pass officials say they do not text to their customers about toll payments. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Bucks with a win in Atlanta. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks beat the Hawks 127-121. Atlanta had the lead midway through the game. Doc Rivers asked about what he didn't like about the Bucks defense in the first half.
I just thought they got in transition early. They made 2 or 3 threes off our missed layups. So second half, I thought we were way better. First half, I didn't think. We showed a video at halftime where first 3 steps we were jogging, they were running by us. Second half, we didn't do that, and we took that away from them.
College hoops. It's the Badgers at Minnesota tonight in the border battle. Marquette on the road at UConn. The Packers re-signing their free agents. First, it was linebacker Isaiah McDuffie. Now, kicker Brandon McManus gets a 3-year deal worth $15 million, $5 million guaranteed.
I'm happy that it's in the past now. I was hoping and working hard for another opportunity. I'm extremely grateful for the Green Bay Packers for giving me that next chance to come back out here and play the game I love.
That's kicker Brandon McManus with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Anora was the big story at the Oscars this year, and if you haven't seen it yet in theaters or on pay-per-view, you'll soon have an opportunity to stream it. Anora was nominated for 6 Oscars and won 5. The film also made history as director Sean Baker tied the record for winning the most Oscars in one night by one person. He's in pretty good company, too. The record was held exclusively by Walt Disney until Sunday night. If you want to see what all the fuss is about, check out Anora on Hulu March 17th. In case you haven't heard, word has gotten out that Adrian Brody's partner that he mentioned in his lengthy acceptance speech, which I believe is still going on.
There's so many people to thank. I will really try and be as brief as possible.
I thought so. Brody also mentioned Georgina's 2 teenage children that she had with Weinstein. Weinstein is serving a 23-year prison sentence for rape and sexual assault, really hoping the kids got the mother's genes. And talk less than Brody. Kieran Culkin is now an Oscar winner, having won the award for Best Supporting Actor last Sunday night. However, if Culkin had his way, someone else would have won. Just 2 weeks before the film written by Jesse Eisenberg was to start shooting, Culkin said he almost quit because the last season of Succession went on longer than anticipated, and he wanted to spend time with his family. Culkin also won the Golden Globe and Screen Actors Guild Award for his performance. Being a good dad only goes so far. Speaking of the Culkins, Kieran Culkin has come a long way from playing Fuller McAllister in Home Alone alongside his brother Macaulay. Macaulay attended after-parties with his wife Brenda and said he knew his younger brother was going to win because of where they sat him in proximity to the stage. The older Culkin was asked if he would see his brother later that night, and his response was, "I'm not sure. He's a busy guy." He's now Academy Award-winning actor Kieran Culkin. A complete unknown drew a complete goose egg at the Oscars despite 8 Academy Award nominations. To make matters worse, according to The Hollywood Reporter, the subject of the Bob Dylan biopic, also known as Bob Dylan, was invited to both present and perform at the ceremony, but declined on both fronts. Mick Jagger ended up presenting in his place. At the beginning of the show, host Conan O'Brien joked that Timothée Chalamet learned how to sing so well in preparation for playing Bob Dylan, he almost didn't get the role. Tabloids love their clickbait. After finding out that Mikey Madison won the Oscar for Best Actress as Anora, tabloids made a big stink that Demi Moore gritted her teeth and seemed upset. A closer look at the situation by a lip reader revealed Moore turned to the person next to her and said, "Nice." One clickbait tabloid in particular said later in its article that Moore was very happy for Madison. Now that's journalism. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Snow will continue today with strong wind gusts from 35 to 45 miles per hour, and that will create blowing snow here for a good chunk of the day. Today, visibility will be significantly reduced, especially in rural areas. Our high 31. Wind will gradually die down. Conditions will improve tonight. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 25.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.